Now, breaking news from WRAL. Coverage you can count on.
We're following two breaking news stories this noon. The ballot battle surrounding Robert F. Kennedy Jr. and his name on the ballot in North Carolina. Just moments ago, a judge ruled his name will remain on the November ballot.
More breaking news. High school athletes could soon be able to profit off their name, likeness, and image. What's next in this ongoing debate?
And we're getting closer to the weekend. With that, we're getting more details on when we could see rain. I'll have a closer look at the hour-by-hour timing coming up.
We do continue to follow several breaking news stories right now at noon. I'm Jeff Hogan. RFK Jr.'s name will remain on the presidential ballot for this November election in our state. That ruling just came down from a Wake County judge in the last 20 minutes. RFK does plan to appeal this. Michelle McConaughey is in the WRAL Live Center monitoring those developments we are getting right now from court. Michelle.
Yeah, as you just mentioned, Jeff, in the last 20 minutes, we've learned this breaking news. And at stake was thousands of dollars, taxpayer dollars, as well as a delay to the start of mail-in voting. Ballots are supposed to be mailed out by tomorrow. And Kennedy, he wanted his name off the ballot because he wants his supporters to vote for former President Trump instead. His attorneys say it is his right to withdraw. The state argues he is playing political games as he is still fighting to get on the ballot in other states.
The motion for a temporary restraining order is denied.
Was denied. Sarah Kruger is in court. She is gathering reaction to all of this. The Court of Appeals, the final ruling is due tomorrow at noon.
Michelle, thanks. And also breaking within the last hour, public high school athletes in the state are one step closer to being able to profit off their name, image, and likeness. The State Board of Education voted this morning to move forward with a rule to allow it. It's just the first step. There will be a public comment period and a final vote in January. Several board members expressed concerns about the policy earlier this week. The NIL rules, if ultimately adopted, would not go into effect until at least July 1st.
A Georgia community continues to grieve following the nation's latest school shooting. 2 students and 2 teachers died at Appalachia High School, about an hour northeast of Atlanta. A 14-year-old student is in custody, and authorities say he'll be tried as an adult. NBC's Priya Sridhar is at the school in Winder, Georgia.
I'm here at Appalachia High School, where the community is still mourning today. We're learning new information about both the suspect and the victims. The suspect has been identified as 14-year-old Colt Gray, who was a student at the school. And we're now learning that he was actually on the radar of the FBI just last year. They say authorities questioned both him and his father revealing that he did have hunting rifles inside of the house, but that Colt Gray did not have unsupervised access to them. We're also hearing from authorities that he used an AR-15 style weapon in this shooting. We don't have any more information about how he got that weapon or what his potential motive could be. We also know that the 4 deceased victims, 2 of them are 14-year-old students, 2 are math teachers. The remaining 9 victims are being treated in hospitals. 8 of them are students. 1 is a teacher, but they are all expected to survive. We also know that the teenage suspect will be charged with murder and tried as an adult. Back to you.
This was the 45th school shooting so far this year, the deadliest U.S. school shooting since the March 2023 massacre at the Covenant School in Nashville, Tennessee, that left 6 people dead. The Harris-Walz ticket has scored another high-profile Republican endorsement.
As a conservative, as someone who believes in and cares about the Constitution, I have thought deeply about this. And because of the danger that Donald Trump poses, not only am I not voting for Donald Trump, but I will be voting for Kamala Harris.
Former Republican Congresswoman Liz Cheney made it official during a speech Wednesday night at Duke University. Cheney previously served in Republican caucus leadership before being ousted for her criticism of former President Donald Trump. The Harris campaign welcomed Cheney's support. Last month, the Harris campaign unveiled more than 24 endorsements from Republicans.
Republican presidential nominee Donald Trump is scheduled to speak in Charlotte tomorrow. Trump is planning to speak to the Fraternal Order of Police's National Board of Trustees. The organization endorsed him for president in 2020. The group's 2024 endorsement is scheduled to be announced this weekend. Trump has visited North Carolina 3 times in recent weeks, making stops in Charlotte, Asheville, and Asheboro. A disturbance is crossing our area right now, and some places could see light rain for the next few hours. Kat Campbell is in the WRAL Severe Weather Center with a look at why most of us will likely stay dry today. Kat.
And we just wanted to let folks know, even if you are one of the unlucky spots that sees a little rain, it is just drizzle. If you work outside, practice outside, no need to cancel anything outdoors. It's not going to get any heavier. We really don't have any of that rain showing up on the radar at this point in time. Just some mid-level energy crossing through at this hour, creating gentle lift in the atmosphere, just enough where we could squeeze out a few sprinkles. I did lower rain chances to about 20%. And then once we get closer to the evening commute, the clouds should begin to thin out and you'll see more sunshine for the evening. Temperatures are in the 70s. The clouds definitely helping to keep those numbers low today. And it's a bit more humid as we see more moisture getting fed into North Carolina from the east. Right now, a lot of clouds, just that weak disturbance moving through. But over the weekend, this stalled front could spin up some low pressure that will bring a better chance for rain, especially on Saturday. But by late tomorrow night, we could begin to see a few showers creep into the forecast. Coming up in about 10 minutes here on WRAL, I'll have an hour-by-hour look at rain chances. That way you can plan ahead if you're headed out to some of the Friday night football games.
We have more breaking news right now in Wake County. Apex Police shared new information with us about a shooting that happened last night in front of the Beaver Creek Commons Shopping Center. WRAL's Chelsea Donovan is live right near where this happened with that new information. Chelsea?
Yeah, Jeff, we understand this happened around 6 o'clock last night in this busy shopping center. We hear that it took place outside of Kohl's, and we understand that this person was shot inside their vehicle. They did have non-life-threatening injuries and drove themselves to the hospital. Let's show you some of the video of the area where this took place. They say they've been working on this, Apex Police rather, throughout the night and early this morning, even serving a search warrant on the suspect's home. They were able to make an arrest early this morning after a man, like I said, allegedly shot into a car with another man inside. Let's show you the suspect here. This is 23-year-old Caleb Connor of Apex. He was just taken into custody. He faces numerous charges, including assault with a deadly weapon with intent to kill and other gun-related charges. We do understand that they served a search warrant at his home, which is just about 2 minutes down the road here from Beaver Creek Commons. We understand right now that Caleb Connor is currently in the Wake County Jail under no bond. He'll go before a judge tomorrow. And this is still an active, open investigation. So if you were in this area around 6 o'clock last night, you're urged to call Apex Police. We're live in Apex. Chelsea Donovan, WRAL News.
And happening right now in the WRAL Live Center, we have just learned that a Granville County public school bus driver was arrested on DWI charges. We have the article on our website right now. Here's what we know. Lauren Coble, she is charged with impaired driving in a commercial vehicle. She is also charged with 53 counts of misdemeanor child endangerment. Granville County public school leaders contacted the police department on August 29th about a school bus driving erratically on its morning route. The Creedmoor Police Department has come out and said we will work with the district's attorney's office to ensure that anyone that puts the safety and security of our students at risk are held accountable.
All lanes of I-95 are open after this fiery tractor-trailer crash. State Highway Patrol confirms the driver of the tractor-trailer died. The interstate was closed for hours and reopened around 1 a.m. The crash happened in the northbound lanes near the I-295 interchange in Cumberland County. This was about 7:30 last night. Troopers say a tire malfunction caused the tractor-trailer to hit the highway barrier. One of its fuel tanks exploded after the crash that caused that huge fire. Authorities have not released the name of the driver who died. A man considered armed and dangerous has been on the run for more than 36 hours now. Andre Jones is accused of shooting 2 people in Granville County Tuesday night. A woman called 911 and told them her child's father shot her several times in the upper body and leg. Jones then reportedly turned the gun on another man and shot him. Emergency responders found the other victim at a nearby gas station.
We have new numbers from UNC Chapel Hill about its entering class of 2024. The university welcomed more than 4,600 first-year students. There are also 983 transfer students in that class. Students were selected from a record 73,192 total applicants. That's a 15.8 8% increase over last year. First-year applications have increased 32% in the last 5 years. And students come from 95 North Carolina counties, all 50 states, and the District of Columbia, as well as 79 countries around the world. Today, Durham City leaders will work on a variety of topics, from schools to addressing homelessness and more. City Council will receive a presentation on homelessness in the city and the challenges it faces. Another presentation will be about growth in Durham Public Schools and how planners are preparing for it. A third will report the findings and recommendations of a paratransit improvement study. The work session is happening today, starting at 1.
Take a look at stocks this noon. Investors are just a little bit antsy about a major jobs report that is due out tomorrow, and it is reflected in the numbers here. Dow Jones Industrial Average has spent the better part all morning in negative territory, down 356 points right now. NASDAQ is down 30 points, and S&P 500 relatively unchanged.
Next at noon, a threatening message on a bathroom wall on a plane. What the pilot did and how the FBI reacted.
Also, insect bites are causing a rare disease spreading to countries where it's never been, including the U.S. Who is most at risk?
Plus, Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen is visiting Wake Tech today. At 12:30, we are live with her message to North Carolina voters.
Keep watching WRAL News over the air Channel 34 and Spectrum Channel 1257.
Quite an alarming message found in the restroom of an airplane. It forced the plane to be diverted. A flight attendant told another member of the crew someone had scribbled a message in pink pen on the bathroom wall, quote, "There's a bomb on board." The crew member notified the pilot, who landed the plane in Pittsburgh.
I appreciate that they took the time to take the threat seriously, so that's really awesome, but very scary to come here and have that be in your travel plans for sure.
Yeah, the FBI searched the belongings of the last two people on board to use that restroom, but did not find a pink pen. Everyone was questioned and then allowed to get back on board and continue their journey.
The U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention is sounding an alarm on Oropouche virus. Travel-related cases have been reported in the U.S. and Europe. Mandy Gaither has more on what you need to know about this virus.
It's a disease spread by insect bites, especially from biting midges, a type of tiny fly, and some mosquitoes. More than 8,000 cases of Oropouche virus have been reported this year as of August 1st. Most have been in South America, but infections are spreading to other countries where it's never been. At least 21 U.S. travelers returning from Cuba have tested positive for the virus.
The illness can make you very sick within 7 days.
Dr. Lizette Cardona with Cleveland Clinic says symptoms include an abrupt fever, severe headache, muscle and joint aches. In rare cases, the disease can infect the nervous system and cause meningitis and encephalitis.
Luckily, most people can recover from the illness, although it can come back a few days later.
Cardona says the virus is especially dangerous to those who are pregnant, as an infection can potentially spread to the fetus, causing harm. Since there's no vaccine, the best protection is preventing bug bites. Wear loose-fitting, long-sleeve shirts and pants. Use EPA-registered insect repellent that's labeled for use against flies and biting flies, and stay in air-conditioned places to keep insects outside.
Most of the cases in the U.S. have been imported from travel overseas. But due to the recent cases in Cuba, we remain very vigilant.
That was Mandy Gaither reporting. The CDC says there is currently no evidence of local transmission of the virus in the U.S. All cases have been brought into the country from those who have traveled. And scientists say biting midge species on both sides of the country could potentially carry the virus.
This morning, the Cape Hatteras National Seashore expanded beach closure in Buxton due to petroleum odors. The Army Corps of Engineers removed tanks and thousands of tons of petroleum from the former Navy site about 20 years ago. The precautionary expansion closes the beach from the southern end of those beachfront homes in Buxton to approximately a quarter-mile south of the old lighthouse jetties. The closure may change over the coming days based on further field observations. You can see some of the old structures that the military left behind there because that sand is washing away.
Yeah. Well, we love these fall-like temperatures, these below normal temperatures. Meteorologist Kat Campbell in the WRAL Severe Weather Center. Nothing feels like fall like Football Friday.
I know, it's feeling like football weather. And I have to say, Football Friday has had some really nice weather. You know, of course, there were some issues last week, but for this week's Football Friday, it looks pretty good. For the early kickoff, 6 o'clock, about 81 degrees tomorrow, partly cloudy. 8 o'clock will be in the upper 70s. And as we move toward the end of the games, most of us are going to be dry. There is a small 20% chance for rain in our southern counties. So that's Sampson County, Fayetteville, Cumberland County, Hoke County, just those 3 counties. But most of us in good shape for the games tomorrow evening. It is going to feel a little more humid, so not quite that crisp fall feel on the bleachers. But again, it's not bad out there for this time of year. We've got an area of low pressure that's developing along a stalled front offshore, and that's what's going to move closer as we get into Saturday and bring the chance for rain. That's going to be our best chance for rain this weekend. This model, I would say, is a bit overdone on rain coverage, but I'd rather show you worst case scenario because the timing of the rain here is doing pretty well on this particular model run. Tomorrow through 4 o'clock, completely dry. We'll see a lot of clouds, but there will be breaks in the clouds. So still bring some sunglasses with you. 11 o'clock tomorrow night, you can see there's that rain I told you about just in our southern counties that could creep in. For most of us, it doesn't get here until after midnight into Saturday morning. Saturday morning actually looks like it's got the best shot at some showers, perhaps a few rumbles of thunder, and that would last into the early afternoon. This is what brings the chance for rain, is this area of low pressure trying to spin up. The cold front moving in from the west actually doesn't have that much moisture. The moisture with that front gets hung up closer to the mountains. So once that front swings through, I think we'll be mainly dry Saturday for your evening plans. The good news is this cold front's going to push that system on out of here for Sunday, and Sunday's setup looks absolutely spectacular. It doesn't get much better than this. A big drop in humidity is on the way. That low pressure's offshore. We've got high pressure to our west, so that nice north wind bringing in that crisp fall feel from Canada. And it is going to be a little on the breezy side. We could see some winds gusting about 15 to 20 miles per hour. But Sunday, amazing. Make outdoor plans Sunday. Trust me, it is just going to be a beautiful day. It's sunny, it's dry, still warm during the afternoon, but less humid. Saturdays when those plans are a little iffy. A lot to talk about on the tropical satellite. Actually, 5 systems that the National Hurricane Center has marked for potential development. However, all 5 have a low chance of developing, and that is what we definitely want to hear during the peak of hurricane season. The one closest to North Carolina is actually moving away from us, so don't let this blob scare you. It would be moving away. Really no imminent threats for the U.S. at this point, just that 10% chance closer to the Gulf of Mexico. We'll keep an eye on things for you, but as of right now, nothing really concerning. And we're looking in the WRAL Severe Weather Center every day. We'll have a closer look at maybe why it's been so quiet coming up in the next half hour. Temperatures are climbing into the 80s tomorrow and Saturday, and we'll be in the 80s much in next week. Sunday, the best day of the next 7.
Okay, we got our marching orders from Kat. Sunday fun day. Got to plan one outside. Kat, thank you. Coming up today on WRAL News at 4 p.m., water bills skyrocketing in Apex. WRAL looks into complaints from customers to learn more about the issue.
And then tonight at 6, you may remember how 5 on Your Side explained how lawmakers are working on a bill to limit harmful products entering the U.S., especially those from companies exploiting a rule that leaves shipments unchecked. Well, we have an update on where that bill stands and who is fighting against it.
Happening right now in the WRAL Live Center, soccer superstar Alex Morgan is retiring from professional soccer. She posted this emotional video to her social media page saying that her last match will be this weekend against the North Carolina Courage. She also revealed that she's pregnant with her 2nd child during this video. She said, "Soccer has been a part of me for 30 years. It was one of the first things that I ever loved. What I got in return is more than I could have ever dreamed of." She is a 2-time World Cup champion. She won an Olympic gold medal in 2012.
Just an incredible career and a Exciting chapter for her, the second child. Well, today our long wait is just about over. The NFL season begins in 6.5 hours in a game that you'll see only on WRAL.
I feel like I'm ready to take on Patrick Mahomes right here, right? It kicks off in the same place as it has the last 2 years, at the home of the Super Bowl champion Kansas City Chiefs. NBC's Jay Gray is at Arrowhead Stadium, tailgating, getting ready with the latest on the game and the hype surrounding opening night.
It is tailgate time here in Kansas City. The start of the NFL season now just hours away, and it should be a great one here. Since before the sun came up, there have been people waiting, sleeping in their cars overnight outside just to get in and be a part of the big festivities here. Chiefs Kingdom, of course, here at Arrowhead Stadium. They will unfurl tonight before the game their new Super Bowl banner, 2 in a row, and this team going for 3. That's something that's never been done in the history of the NFL. You've got Patrick Mahomes quarterbacking the Chiefs. He should be on fire. He threw a pass behind his back in the preseason. Really not a lot he can't do with the football. And then on the other side, Lamar Jackson, he beats teams with both his arm and his legs. So these are 2 evenly matched teams. They played in the AFC Championship last season, and they're meeting for the first game of the season here tonight. And, of course, the thing that a lot of people are watching closely is, will Travis Kelce, the tight end for the Chiefs, will his girlfriend be at the game? No confirmation yet. We do know Taylor Swift has a break in her concert schedule, so she could be here. She could be at a bunch of games to start this season. Here's a little known fact for you guys. She was at 13 of his games last year, and it ended with the Super Bowl. 13, of course, is Tay-Tay's favorite number. We all know that. Of course, it's her favorite number. And he was at 13 of her concerts during the International Eras Tour. So 13, 30, it must be meant to be, right? What I can tell you is I've got to get through about 13 bags of chips before kickoff tonight. So I've got a lot of work ahead of me. I'm not a quitter, though. I'm going to make sure I get this done. That is the latest right now here in Kansas City. I'm Jay Gray. Back to you.
You're looking like an honorary member of Chiefs Kingdom right there, Jay. Eat up. You can watch tonight's game on WRAL. Coverage starts 7 o'clock with kickoff at 8:20.
I'm hoping he doesn't choke on the chips, though.
Right?
It's hard to talk at the same time. Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen is visiting Wake Tech today. After the break, her message to North Carolina voters. Also,
you know, you have to be here to see it, actually. It's so crazy. Just watching your house sink away.
He's talking about homes and roads in one California community cracking at an alarming rate. How the governor of that state is trying to get aid for those homeowners. And here's a look at your winning NC Education lottery numbers on your screen right now. We'll be right back.
Now, breaking news from WRAL. Coverage you can count on.
Just within the last hour, a judge ruled RFK Jr. will remain on the ballot here in North Carolina. He was hoping to get off of it in a move that would seemingly help former President Donald Trump, who he has endorsed.
this is all happening very last minute as mail-in ballots are supposed to be shipped out tomorrow. WRAL's Sarah Kruger was in the courtroom and explains how even still, this is not a done deal. Sarah.
Renee, this just keeps coming more and more right down to the wire. After the judge's ruling here today, RFK Jr.'s lawyers immediately made it known that they are appealing. So now the Court of Appeals will have just a matter of hours to make a decision tomorrow. If that higher court agrees with the judge today, then Kennedy will stay on the ballot and the mail-in ballots will be on their way. But if the Court of Appeals overrules today's decision, that means ballots have to be reprinted, causing a delay and costing lots of taxpayer money.
Right now, Wake County is finishing up the assembly of their absentee ballot packets to be mailed out tomorrow.
If they had listened to the candidate and jumped on it and put a timeout on printing, they would not be in the position that they're claiming to be in.
And the latest estimates show reprinting the ballots would be in the neighborhood of $1 million and would result in likely at least a 2-week delay in being able to send out those mail-in ballots. Of course, we will follow very closely what happens with the Court of Appeals by tomorrow. Sarah Kruger, WRAL News, live in Raleigh.
U.S. Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen visited the Triangle today to visit Wake Tech's newest campus in Wendell.
And WRAL's Sean Gallagher spoke to her one-on-one about inflation and how it's affecting families in our area. Sean.
Yeah, well, Secretary Yellen was here on campus here in Wendell, touring the campus with Governor Roy Cooper, looking at the EV impacts that they have here that are creating well-paying jobs for students to be able to get into the workforce. But all of this was a part of her message on the Inflation Reduction Act and its impact on families. Specifically, she says the efforts to lower energy costs for families. She says about 90,000 North Carolinians have benefited from tax credits to lower energy. But everyday costs and services remain higher than they were 4 years ago. I spoke to Secretary Yellen after her tour and asked her what can be done to help families right now.
So there's a broad agenda. More broadly, I would say we're using every tool that is at our disposal and trying to work with Congress. We do need help from Congress to do some of this, but we're using every tool to bring down the costs that we know are burdening American families.
And although the Federal Reserve is the one who ultimately controls inflation, Yellen says an administration can have an impact. She says Democrats wanting to bring back child tax credits is proof of their plan that can have an impact on this. Now, just over an hour ago, President Trump's team had a press conference discussing how the Inflation Reduction Act does not have a good enough impact, highlighting the fact that inflation is up some 20% over the last few years, a plan he says, if elected, he can have an impact on immediately. Sean Gallagher, WRAL News, Wendell.
Former President Trump and Vice President Kamala Harris have agreed on the rules for next week's televised debate. The Harris campaign says it has agreed to have microphones muted for the candidate who is not answering a question at the time. That's the same rule that was in place for the June debate between Trump and President Biden. Harris's team had been seeking to change that rule to allow direct exchanges between the candidates. The debate is happening in Philadelphia on Tuesday. You can watch it right here on WRAL starting at 9 that night.
This may have held you up this morning. An early morning crash on the Beltline. It increased those commute times for people driving wherever they were headed. Police say an 18-wheeler rear-ended a garbage truck on I-40 near Gorman Street. That crash was reported around 4:30 this morning. Raleigh police say the garbage truck driver had minor injuries. No word on charges. We're also working to learn the names of 2 people who were killed in a crash near Clinton. This is video of where that crash happened on Boykin Bridge Road. Troopers say they showed up to that crash site after 7:30 last night. Investigators were there for several hours. Investigators have not said what caused that crash.
Firefighters in Italy rushed to save a tourist who became ill inside one of the world's most recognizable buildings. Just ahead, the dramatic rescue at the Leaning Tower of Pisa.
And speaking of iconic structures, the mayor of Paris plans to leave the Olympic rings on the Eiffel Tower. Why that is not sitting well with a lot of French citizens.
Welcome back. You're looking live at Carolina Beach. My family and I were just there for the Labor Day weekend. Oh, wish I could be back. You're watching WRAL News, available on YouTube TV and the WRAL app on your TV or streaming device. California Governor Gavin Newsom has declared a state of emergency for the city of Rancho Palos Verdes as shifting land threatens hundreds of homes.
That means hundreds of families there have been without gas for about a month, and now the power companies say it's no longer safe to keep the power flowing to them. The declaration gives the city access to financial assistance they didn't have until now. Some homeowners, though, are fed up.
I hope we get some kind of funding and individual funding so we can move out or maybe turn it into a hiking destination and pay us off. I don't care. I'll take my money and never come back. I never want to deal with this again.
Officials say that land there has been shifting slowly for decades, but the movement has accelerated dramatically over the last year. Some areas are moving up to 10 inches per week.
Italian firefighters rushed into action after a tourist experienced a medical emergency while visiting the Leaning Tower of Pisa. The 45-year-old man became ill on the 6th floor of the famous bell tower. Firefighters used a crane to reach the man and then loaded him onto a stretcher and carried him down. A crowd of curious tourists watched the rescue effort. No word on what the medical emergency was or how the man is doing.
The Olympic rings will stay on the Eiffel Tower long after the Paralympics end. The mayor of Paris plans to keep the rings permanently. She says she wants the spirit of celebration to remain. There's some pushback, though. Not everyone's happy about it. The descendants of the engineers of the tower say it was not intended as an advertising platform. Tourists have been divided on the issue, some wanting to preserve the memories of the games and others happy to see it end.
Raleigh is offering a new way for citizens to engage with local leaders. Just ahead, how an event this weekend could help connect neighbors with their city government.
Also, why Boeing's Starliner spacecraft will attempt to undock from the International Space Station tomorrow and return to Earth without astronauts. The City of Raleigh Community Engagement and Housing and Neighborhoods departments are teaming up to offer a unique experience. The Engage Raleigh Expo is designed to connect residents, neighborhoods, and community groups and local government. Joining us to talk about the event, Taisha Mosley, thank you so much for being here. She's the Director of Community Engagement Department. Grady Bussey, familiar face. Love seeing you here. Thanks for coming down. Community Relations Advocate from Housing and Neighborhoods Department. Well, thank you both for being here. Taisha, I want to start with you, certainly. Tell us about your department, how it serves the Raleigh community.
Sure. Thank you for having us. So our department has a unique role to ensure that the concerns and voices of our residents are incorporated into decisions that the city makes. So different projects and initiatives that the city has, we work to use the meaningful engagement to influence those projects.
And Grady, the Housing Department, Housing and Neighborhoods Department has a bit of a different approach to serving Raleigh. Tell us all about that.
Yeah, so normally when you think about housing in the Housing Department, you think about affordable housing opportunities, ways in which we're tackling our homeless crisis here in Raleigh. But we also have a Neighborhood Engagement Department. And in that department, we find new and holistic ways in which we connect with our neighbors. And so we do that by providing grants, offering different forms of materials for block parties, as well as we create leadership opportunities through our actual classes, our leadership classes.
Great advancement project, certainly. Taisha, how about the Engage Raleigh Expo? We're all excited about that, September 7th. Tell us about it.
We are very excited this Saturday, at the McKibben Center from 10 to 3. The expo will have 3 parts. The first component is a keynote panel where we'll have community leaders and community groups on stage talking about the beauty of collaboration. The second piece includes 7 different workshops which residents can participate in, everything from sustainability to housing in Raleigh. And then the last part, we have over 60 vendors in 26 city departments who will be there to talk about different programs, events, their organizations, what they offer to the community. And all of this is free, and we're really excited.
Lots of people love to hear that. I know that. And Grady, your department is also going to recognize some neighborhoods during that expo.
When you think about September, it's actually Neighborhood Month.
Yeah.
And so one of the cool things is that we actually have what's called our exchange event, our neighborhood exchange event, in which we celebrate 20 years of engaging our communities through our neighborhoods. And so we're going to really open up our playbook to really spread the good news and tell all the cool stories that we've done in our neighborhoods and enhance Raleigh for who we are.
I know it's a diverse playbook.
Absolutely.
Throw deep, go long. It's going to be great. Here's some information right now about the Engage Raleigh Expo. You can visit the city's website, raleighnc.gov, and search Engage Raleigh Expo. I want to thank you both again, Taisha.
Hey, thank you. Always
great
a pleasure.
to see you both. Yeah. Thanks for coming down, and good luck. Have a great event this weekend.
So much.
All right. Renee?
Love learning about the Engage Raleigh Expo. We've all enjoyed engaging with the weather, especially with these comfortable temperatures that we're going to see extending into the weekend.
I can't wait for Sunday. I mean, it's going to be such a nice day. 79, full sunshine, and that crisp feel returns. It's going to make a big difference. Saturday, it looks like the best chance for rain is going to be during the first half of the day. So your best shot at rain, morning through, I would say about 2, maybe 3 o'clock. And the emphasis on that rain is going to be in the eastern half of our viewing area, really from the Triangle points east. The western part of the state really not likely to see much in the way of rain from that coastal low. Once we get to the evening, rain chances will be tapering off. So good news there if you do have Saturday night dinner plans. You're in better luck than Saturday outdoor brunch plans, that's for sure. As for the muggy meter, a big dip coming. Tomorrow, it's still going to be feeling tolerable, kind of like it does outside today. A bit more of a steamy feel on Saturday. And then Sunday, we see dew points dip back into the 50s. It is going to be feeling great outside. Looking ahead, though, we've got this front that's stalled offshore. With that, we see low pressure systems spin up along fronts this time of year. And we're going to watch for one of these to track right along our coast this weekend. It's unlikely to take on any tropical characteristics. It would just bring some rain into the area, and that's why you get that chance for rain on Saturday. But we've got a cold front coming from the west. So our system from the east is what brings us rain chances. This is what's going to bring that nice drop in temperatures for Sunday. It's going to be more noticeable, the cooler temperatures in the mornings and the evenings than the afternoons. The afternoons, especially in the sun, will still feel pretty warm out there. But check this out. As we get into Saturday, the cold front itself passes. It's going to push that coastal system on out of here. We never get into the blues here on the map, so it's not going to be chilly, but it's just going to be really comfortable. Nice northeast wind on Sunday, and you'll notice the cooler weather in the mornings especially. The normal low this time of year is 66. We're at 64 for the low tomorrow, 67 Saturday. So the next couple of mornings are actually going to feel a lot more normal per se for this time of year than what we see next week. We get all the way down to 53 by next Tuesday morning, giving it a real fall feel outside. Now check out the lows in the mountains. These are lows for Boone. I just wanted to point this out. Boone dipping down into the mid 40s on Sunday and Monday for lows. That should help to kickstart some of the fall color. I mean, we're not there yet, but seeing more mornings like that's what's going to do it as we move throughout the next couple of weeks. Tomorrow, looking pretty good in the mountains. You'll wake up to some fog in the morning. The rest of the day looking fine. Highs around 70 in Boone, 80 in Asheville. And on Saturday, partly cloudy skies later in the day. It's cooler, 65 for the high in Boone, 72 in the Highlands, 75 in Asheville. At the coast tomorrow, you'll see a lot of clouds, mostly dry, highs in the upper 70s to about 80. Saturday, we've got that better chance of rain and storms at the coast Saturday. And again, we're going to watch that system as it kind of pushes to the northeast. So a good chance of rain on Saturday at the coast. Looking ahead, we've got our best chance for rain coming on Saturday. After that, we dry out Sunday through the first half of next week. Next week, the mornings are cool, but the afternoons will definitely be warming up. We're back in the mid 80s by next Wednesday.
Okay, but no 90s in the 7 days, so that's good.
No 90s. I'm loving it.
Yes, Kat, thank you. He's a man on a mission to clean up neglected areas of the community.
It really is. Putting in service is a good thing to do. Putting in God's work.
Coming up, how his passion to make a difference is spreading to others.
Winning Powerball numbers 7, 10, 21, 33, 59. The Powerball is 20. The Power Play multiplier is 3. We'll be right back.
As we wrap things up, here's a look at a few of the headlines we're following today. A judge in Wake County ruled that Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s name will appear on North Carolina ballots for this year's presidential election. That's despite Kennedy dropping out and asking to have his name removed. Judge Rebecca Holt ordered the state to go ahead with plans to send out its already printed ballots for the start of mail-in voting. But Kennedy's attorneys immediately announced their plans to appeal. The judge did grant them 24 hours to make their case to the North Carolina Court of Appeals. Public high school athletes in the state are one step closer to being able to profit off their name, image, and likeness. The State Board of Education voted this morning to move forward with a rule to allow it. This is just the first step. There will be a public comment period and a final vote in January. The rules, if ultimately adopted, would not go into effect until at least July 1st.
Creedmoor police arrested a Granville County Public Schools bus driver for suspicion of driving while impaired. 45-year-old Lauren Coble faces the charge of impaired driving in a commercial vehicle. She also faces traffic charges and